A pristine state, suddenly and violently interrupted. Human interaction is chaotic. Occasionally, the friction of daily life causes a distinct, measurable loss for one person due to the actions of another. How does a structured society process and respond when the pieces are broken? The legal system operates as a categorization engine. It processes these chaotic human conflicts into precise, addressable remedies. This diagram maps that engine. The absolute starting point for this process is a single input: wrongdoing. When an action has a measurable consequence, we trace a direct line to a subsequent state: loss. But a loss alone does not trigger the machinery of the law. The system must first diagnose the exact nature of the right that was violated. We will chart the structural divide of these wrongs, tracing how the legal system isolates the exact triggers that lead to legal remedies. The architecture of liability depends entirely on identifying the origin of the broken right, regardless of how severe the resulting damage might be. Returning to our diagram, we see the first major division. The path diverges based on who holds authority to demand a response. On the left, we find criminal acts. These are offenses categorized as threats against the state or society as a whole. The mechanism here relies on state prosecution, operating to punish the offender and deter future infractions. We can set this branch aside. Its engine operates on different principles from the ones we are examining today. Our analysis focuses strictly on the right branch, civil wrongs. The defining characteristic of a civil wrong is that it involves a dispute exclusively between private entities. State prosecution plays no role. The mechanics of civil law exist for one specific reason: to provide a remedy to an injured private party for a specific, proven loss. These remedies are compensatory. They are calibrated to restore equilibrium between two private parties, rather than inflict punishment on the wrongdoer. Recognizing a civil wrong is only step one. The legal system must now subcategorize the wrong, based on where the broken duty originated. Civil law is an objective, mechanical function designed to calculate precise remedies for private losses resulting from wrongdoing. We can trace the first way private parties define legal obligations to another through contract law. Consider two distinct entities deciding to engage in a mutually beneficial exchange. The mechanism of a contract is the enforcement of parties' rights through voluntary agreement. Note the specific condition here: voluntary. No external force compelled these entities to owe each other anything. Before this agreement, neither party had an actionable right against the other regarding this exchange. By agreeing, they act as a private legislature. They manufacture new legal rights, creating a closed system of duties that did not previously exist. A wrong occurs within this system when one party breaches the agreed-upon terms, resulting in a loss for the other. The legal system responds by providing a remedy strictly tied to enforcing the boundaries of that specific, self-engineered agreement. Contract liability is entirely self-imposed. The legal remedy exists exclusively because the parties designed the duty that was eventually broken. Now we examine the right side, tort law. This covers scenarios where a loss occurs between parties who never established an agreement. Here we have two entities coexisting in the same societal space. The mechanism of tort enforces rights completely irrespective of agreement. The legal system establishes a baseline grid of inherent rights and duties. These apply to everyone by default, simply by participating in society. A tort occurs when an action by one party breaches this baseline duty, causing measurable harm to the other. Irrespective of agreement, a wrong has taken place. There was no mutual consent or private jurisdiction, yet a duty was violated. In a tort, the duty owed is not engineered by individuals. It is imposed by the legal system itself to maintain societal order. To calculate the remedy, the system attempts to restore the injured party to the baseline state that existed before the unprovoked interference. Tort liability is system-imposed. The duty of care is an inherent, non-negotiable baseline required for society to function, demanding a remedy even between total strangers. Stepping back, this complete taxonomy tree maps the legal framework constructed from first principles. The unifying principle is consistent. All civil law functions as a mechanism for remedying loss resulting from a wrong. The practical challenge for legal practitioners is determining how to choose the correct pathway when presented with a loss. The process of legal diagnosis is a reverse engineering of the relationship between the involved parties. The first diagnostic test requires searching for evidence of mutual consent, negotiation, or the voluntary assumption of a duty. If the source of the broken right traces back to a voluntary promise, the engine of contract law is activated. The alternative outcome is finding that the parties had no prior contractual relationship governing their interaction. If the right was violated outside the bounds of a promise, relying solely on baseline societal expectations, the engine of tort law is activated. This dichotomy sorts millions of complex, chaotic human disputes through these two foundational funnels. A wrong resulting in a loss demands a remedy, but securing that remedy requires precise structural logic to map the correct path. The vast complexity of civil litigation rests on a single diagnostic question. Was the broken right privately engineered by agreement or publicly inherent, irrespective of it?